And these are the ordinances that you shall set before them. Parshat Mishpatim establishes in the first pasuk that this parsha is a social code we must abide by as Jews. My question is why the first rule that is defined is one concerning a Hebrew slave. My answer is that there are two ways we identify our relationship between man and God. We accept God's laws, but we also accept the responsibility to care for the well-being of our fellow Jew, which is Ben Adam L'Chaveiro. After reading this parsha, I believe that the focus is on that second responsibility of caring for each other. Meaning, if we do not care for the well-being of one another, then we have ultimately failed to maintain our own social justice. We see this difference in laws like our requirement to not ignore any lost objects we find. With this understanding, if there's one person who does not realize these responsibilities to his fellow Jew, it is the Hebrew slave that steals. The slave who steals from another Jew and gives himself up to slavery to repay his debt, as Rashi explains, v'chi tekaneh, if he has no money, he shall be sold for his theft as a slave. Not only is a slave disrespecting his commandment of Ben Adam Makom, but he is also disrespecting his commandment of Ben Adam Chaveira. We also see in the laws of slavery, if you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year he shall go free without paying anything. This means that someone as low in social class as a slave may be brought back into society. Regardless the gradual process, we see the Torah telling us that we have a responsibility to include into society a Jew that we have reason to exclude, and that's why it's the first law described. Let me clarify. Last week's Parsha Yitro contained the concept of us being God's people and doing what God needs. As it says, I am the Lord and your God who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and continues to say, you shall not have other gods in my presence. This week's Parsha focuses on the concept of being one people and bringing us all together. A team is greater than its individuals, but only if its individuals do their part for their team. A Hebrew slave is considered to be the lowest social group, and this goes to show that we have a responsibility to include this Jew into society, even if we have reason to exclude him, because Judaism as a whole focuses on the unity of the people, the klal. Furthermore, it is important to note that the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash was due to sinat chinam. If anything, this parsha comes to teach us the importance of loving our fellow Jew rather than hating them. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.